Where do you want to start? Do you want to tell us about when you started and why you went into fashion?
I haven't gone into fashion really. I was well, I have to take this off.
Go on, take them off, it's fine.
It's kind of echo. No, the reason I went to art, I was doing my, do you want the whole story?
Yeah.
I was doing just started A-levels at school. And then a boy I was at school with came down and told us all about Chelsea Art School. And he was in a band called the Temperance Seven. He played the banjo, Philip Harrison.
Right, okay.
And I was so enthralled, and I lived just around the corner from Chelsea. So, dear Mummy and Daddy, please, I don't think I want to do my A-levels anymore. I want to go to Chelsea Art School. So my mother, very unlike her, took all my pictures off the wall, which were nearly all of cats, and went round there. And the principal said, oh, yes, she's very talented. She can come.
Oh.
So that's how I went to art school. And I mean, art school just changes your life, really. Anyone will tell you that.
Yeah.
And
how old was you then?
How old? 16, I think. Okay. 16, 17. Yeah.
So if you didn't do that, you'd have gone on and done your A-level? Yes.
I would. Life would have been quite different.
So it changed for you?
Yeah.
So where did that take you after doing your course?
So I did it. So I was at Chelsea, and then I went to the Royal College of Art and did textiles. I thought I was going to be a painter, right? But I thought no one can teach me painting because I know how to paint, arrogantly. So I'll learn something else. So I learned textiles, and I was there for 3 years. And then when you leave, you're kind of hoiking your designs around, showing people, and you just want a teaching job to keep you going. So you do 1 or 2 days teaching.
What was your ambition originally, though, when you'd done your textiles? What was you hoping to achieve?
I just wanted to go on doing textiles because by that time I really loved it. But never occurred to me I'd get a job. Now it's different because you have to pay lots of money and to go to art school, so they're all thinking about jobs a lot more.
What's changed then? Why has it changed where now you have to pay a lot of money and then you...
Because it was all free in those days, college.
University was free?
Yes.
And college?
Yeah. And they even paid you. They gave you a grant. Yeah. And it was free. So now it costs like 10 grand or something.
Wow. When did that change? You don't know?
About 10 years ago, wasn't it?
Is it?
Fees started, I think so. So, yeah.
It's not that long ago then. I thought it was longer than that they brought in fees.
Well, you might be right.
No, I don't know. I'm just interested in that. Obviously they brought it in and they gave student loans out. I would imagine that would have been the change.
Yeah.
So that would have stopped a lot of people, giving them the opportunity to go to university.
Stops loads of people. And also the sad thing was going from art schools turned into universities. I mean, Chelsea was a polytechnic, actually. Hornsey was an art school where I taught, the first place I taught. Then they made them into universities. And then you had to, have more qualifications to get in.
Yeah.
And so there'd be really talented, kind of almost illiterate people who lost
Didn't
their
get the
chance
opportunity to go.
And there were loads of those at the Royal College.
So what is that still the same today?
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
And that's putting lots of people off.
So they just don't carry on with those sort of courses and they go off and do something else. So you're losing a lot of talent because they're just not carrying on with the course.
I think you're losing a lot of talent.
And then you're getting people in there who maybe haven't got the talent, but they can afford to do it.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where did you go? So basically you've come out, you're doing textiles. So you've gone into teaching or you've started working?
No, I was just designing and then doing a day at Hornsey School of Art, maybe 2 days. And then I got a day at St Martin's as well.
Right.
And it just carried on like that because I had kids by then.
Yeah. So where did you sort of where did it go into a teaching rather than a working environment for you?
It hasn't gone rather than a working.
Oh, right.
Never stopped working.
No, I mean working in creating textiles for
never
company.
Stopped doing.
You're still creating and you're teaching.
Yeah.
So you do both.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And where I teach at St Martin's, I can print there as well.
So what would happen when you're teaching people today, career-wise? What are they looking to do? Because obviously everyone can't come out and teach. So where are they going?
I mean, most of them don't want to teach anyway. They want to go and work in Paris. Because I teach in the fashion department, but I teach fashion with print. There's fashion with knit, women's wear, men's wear. So my students, they print their own fabrics or they decorate their own fabrics. It doesn't have to be printed.
Yeah. I'm just wondering from a point of view.
So they're not thinking I'm doing this to teach.
No.
Nowadays you have to do a teaching qualification anyway, which I have to say I've never done. Don't tell anyone.
I just think so. If for these young people making careers now in, we'll call it fashion, industry. Where's their futures? What are they going into? All different areas of.
Yeah, and
fashion.
I mean, in their second year, they have to go out and after they've done 2 years, they go out and work in industry for a year. So quite often, like for instance, I'll say Sarah Burton went to work for McQueen in her year out, and then when she finished, they wanted her back because she was good, you know.
Yeah.
And then when unfortunately Lee died, she ran McQueen. I mean, that's just one golden case, I suppose. But that, you know, they go and work for Galliano in Paris or for Givenchy or whoever. They might want to go back there, or they might just want to start lots of them want to start their own business.
Yeah, I can imagine, yeah.
But I think that's a really bad idea.
Do you? Why do you think that?
I think it's better to go and work for somebody first.
You get the experience, then
realise all the pitfalls. It's really hard to make money in fashion.
In fashion, as in creating your own designs, going out and I imagine
really hard.
I imagine it's very competitive. But is there enough work for people when they take on these careers, when they come and do the courses?
Yeah, surprisingly. I mean, they end up doing. I mean, lots of rock stars went to St Martin's or went to various all the art schools. You look around, a lot of them went to art school, so they don't necessarily end up doing that.
Yeah. So all right. So it doesn't become their chosen career, but they go into there and then move it into different areas.
Well, just by chance, it goes somewhere else.
And have you met a lot of people in that who've done that and then they've moved into different areas?
Yeah, well, one of my first students at St Martin's was Corinne Drury, and she's Swing Out Sister. I don't know if you know.
I know the name.
But she's very creative as well. I mean, she's got an Instagram, she does a drawing every day. So she's, keeps it up.
So what's your advice to young people who want to go into the fashion industry?
Into the fashion industry or into
art school?
Into art school. I think they need to sort of really enjoy drawing and looking at things. And it's difficult now because everyone's got phones and they just kind of...
Yeah.
You know, I think they should all go to galleries and look at everything and look at all the new shops, and especially in London, really use London instead of just looking on their phones. And they should draw.
Is it different? Is it different in Europe and all around the world? The industry, which is over here, is it different in as much as opportunities? Is there more opportunities in America? Is there less opportunities?
I don't know about America. I mean, they've got Parsons.
Do you get international students coming to the college?
Get lots of international students. That's how they make their money.
That's how the universities make their money. Because
the international students pay much more than the home students, like twice as much, I think.
I wonder why that is.
And so they tend to be quite rich, the international students, because otherwise
it seems like we're getting
it.
Yeah, it seems like we're getting a sort of a balance here between it sort of for the people who can afford it. A lot of people who can't afford it are not going to get into the...
Yeah, I mean, I think if they really try, there are ways, and there are funny little courses that sort of get them in. Summer courses.
Is it very selective then when they're choosing the student?
Yeah, because hundreds of people apply, but that's all changed too because that's online.
How do they choose the students?
So they get all these students applying online, and they choose a sort of bulk of them, and then the ones they choose get interviews.
And if you was coming from abroad, do you have to still come for an interview? Would that be done sort of online?
I think that could be done online. In the old days, you had to be there. I mean, when I was choosing students, I interviewed them all personally.
So that's
because I think it's really important what the people are like.
Yeah,
they might not necessarily have the best portfolio ever, but they might be a very engaging person.
Yeah, and creative in different ways.
I remember going home and telling my husband about all the people I'd accepted for the year, and he said, "Didn't you get anybody normal?"
How do you distinguish them? What would be something that would make you not want somebody?
not want them?
Hmm.
Well, I always want more than I can have because there's a limited number.
What is the numbers roughly?
About 25. That would be on my course.
Yeah. So you take 25 for on the intake for your year.
Yeah,
And how long was the duration of the course?
4 years. If that would include the year out. So it's 3 years in college and 1 year out.
Okay, so it's quite intense. It's quite a lot.
It is, and the fashion show's coming up now. So they're all suddenly realising they've only got a week left. Or something.
Do you get involved with that when the fashion show comes up?
Mm.
What sort of things would you be involved with?
Well, all the printing for their clothes, and just we've got line up next week, seeing what clothes they've done. They have to do 6 outfits, or I think they're allowed to do 4, but 6 is the maximum.
And then they would present their work at the show.
We have a fashion show, catwalk show.
Okay.
2, one for everyone, and all the parents come and everything. And then there's a press show where they just choose 40 students out of the whole lot.
And why is that? Then they just do their own presentation.
No,
The 40 students.
the 40 students, they just do Sarah Gresty, who runs fashion, she'll organise that.
Okay. I'm just trying to say it from if I was a student, I wanted to come and get involved.
Yeah.
What would the course entail for me? Where would I start and then where would I finish?
Well, you'd finish with the show and you'd start, they're just various projects.
Okay. And then at the end of it, then...
I mean, in the second year, I do a really nice project with Grayson Perry where all my students make his frocks.
Oh, okay.
And he comes in every week. And
so there is good opportunities. They do get seen by lots of people within the industry.
Yeah, and industry often, give them projects as well. Like we did one with Uniqlo last year.
Okay, so they basically use you as a vehicle.
They do with Louis Vuitton. They have projects. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting. So you started there in what, 1964?
Mm.
So what was going on there different to what's going on through the ages? What was the height of fashion there in 64?
Well, I don't know. Did you see that program of the Outlaws? That was more. Actually, that was 80s, but 64.
What's your fondest memories of fashion? What era? What was the time that you enjoyed most?
Oh, I think the 80s.
Why? What was different about the 80s?
Lots of talented people like John Galliano and what's his name? Who I gave you his jacket. What was his name? John Flett. John Flett. He's dead now though. But yeah, that was a really lively time. I mean, also it was in Charing Cross Road, so it was in the middle of Soho. We've moved to King's Cross now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And they all went to a club called Blitz. Oh, there were lots of clubs.
Yeah.
And bad behaviour.
So they
sort of worked hard and played hard, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just interested in how it's changed over the years. So 64, you'd been a teenager. The fashion then was what? Beatles, mods.
Yeah, Foland.
What was your first fashion? What was you wearing as a teenager?
Oh, well, we had to make our own clothes as a teenager, but then Mary Quant opened a shop, and then a bit later there was Bieber and stuff, and so.
Yeah.
But up until then, you had to make your own clothes, really, or wear petticoats or something, because you didn't want to look like your parents.
So
just in Jaeger.
Yeah, no, it's true. So how did it evolve then? So you've obviously watched the evolvement of all the fashions all the way through, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I was sort of started off in the beatnik era, okay. I'd say.
Right. That's interesting. And then, all right, what about the punk era?
Yeah, well,
did you enjoy that?
I really didn't get involved in the punk era very much because I had babies by then, so I was a bit occupied. But I mean, I had some punky students. But I wasn't.
So you're still teaching then, even though you had a young family?
Yeah.
We weren't babies when it was punk.
When was punk? I can't remember.
Late 70s, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 80s.
It was sort of grunge time. I thought it was grunge.
Oh, grunge,
students. Yeah.
There were loads at St Martin's, though, weren't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were.
Where do you think fashion is today then? What do you think?
I've got no idea.
You must have some idea.
I'm honestly,
Well, I mean, your students, obviously, they're designing for their fashion shows. What are they designing?
yeah. They're designing bigger and better. You know, they sort of huge things. You'll have to come and see.
Well, we got in Covent Garden now. There's a lot of shops opening up, and they're bringing in clothes from like China and Japan. There's quite a few opening up.
Yeah.
So there's obviously a fashion trend. And they are very they are very baggy and big.
And also, I mean, the fashion scene in Korea and China and India is all happening, I think, now.
Yeah.
And remember, a lot of students go back. They go back to China and back to India.
Yeah, it's interesting because then you've got your fashions that have stayed, like you said about Jaeger, you know, Ralph Lauren. They've stayed almost the same, haven't they? They're just different colours, but the shirt styles are the same. So there is styles that just stay around forever, isn't there?
Yeah. I suppose there are. Burberry, I suppose, changes a bit.
More colour, isn't it? You still got the same sort of the matte,
boring check.
Well, yeah, well, you know, it's been around a long time. All they've done with that really is just change colours on it. Really.
Yeah, and scale.
Yeah, and do things like that.
Yeah.
So there is brands that stay around for a long, long time, and then there's other fashions that come and go. So you say, like, so the fashion of today, you're not really seeing it where you are in.
No, I'm not really. I mean, the only thing I've really noticed is that everyone has tattoos. I mean, complete arms.
So fashion outside of clothes.
Got much more.
So you got the change in, obviously, because obviously you've been from 64, so you got the changes in the hair fashion.
Yeah.
You got changes in, like you say, tattooing, piercing.
And shoes. Clompy shoes. But I mean, the shoe trade's sort of gone out the window now because of trainers.
Well, again, trainers have come in. They were a big thing.
Yeah.
You know, you do see a lot. But again, you still got the classic shoes that have been around for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Your loafers and your Chelsea boots, things like that.
But trainers, I mean, I think McQueen make all their money on trainers.
Do they? What about you? Within your college, there's no shoe design, or there is shoe design?
No, there is. We not actually there, but there's what's it called? Begins with the C. There is a shoe place. They do leather and shoes, and I've gone and forgotten.
Like churches, somewhere like that sort of thing.
No. That college. There's a college.
Oh, okay.
Cordwainers.
Okay, and they specialise in doing shoes
and leather
and things like that.
Yes.
Because I think that's the thing. People really the fashion industry is so big, from handbags, accessories. So a student can cover. Do they come in and they pick something specific? Do they say, I want to do textiles, I want to do leather, I want to do...
Yeah, they wouldn't say, I want to do leather. They could say they want to do textiles. Because there's a separate textile department that just does textiles.
How many departments is there then in...
Because St Martin's and the Central School of Art amalgamated.
Okay.
So they used to do textiles at the Central. And they did fashion at St Martin's.
And they've put them both together.
Well, they're still separate.
Yeah.
But we use the same print room.
Oh, okay. So.
But it's a separate department with separate staff.
Okay. So you've been in this industry since 1964. Mm-hmm. You must have met some interesting people. Anyone in particular you want to tell us about?
Oh, I mean, lots of people. I mean, I had one group. There's Tony Crosby, who's now in Japan. Keenan's in America. Anthony's in Rosebery Avenue. I mean...
And you still keep in contact with these people?
I keep in contact with quite a lot of them.
Yeah.
Certainly not all of them. I mean, they're always coming up and saying hello, and I just... Who they are?
Can't remember who these people are.
No. But keep...
But it's still nice, though, isn't it, that you've been part of something where you see people go on and they achieve.
Yeah, and Corinne, who I told you about, sweetheart sister Corinne, and
So where do you see yourself now in the business? You're going to carry on working? You obviously look like you like to work.
I might do, till they throw me out. Yeah, I'm still working at the moment.
And enjoying it?
I'm just doing supposedly 2 days a week.
And are you doing the same sort of thing? Anything new? Any new ideas? Anything?
Well,
from
I mean, the
research?
department's changed because there's so much more technology. There's
Yeah.
lots of, laser cutting and 3D this and that and digital printing.
Where
and
do you?
stuff.
Well, now you've got all this AI coming in. So
Yeah.
will the students
Yeah.
be able to use that and to
Yeah.
sort of utilise it? They will.
Yeah, but I won't.
Will that change things though? Will that?
Well, it'll give them more strands to their. What's the expression? To their bow.
Yeah.
Strings to their bow.
Yeah.
But I'm sort of way behind with all that. I just like screen printing.
Yeah. Well, there's still a market for screen printing, isn't there?
Yeah, well, it's the design. It's just a way of designing. But students, with screen printing, we used to have to paint out all the coded traces,
Yeah.
one for each colour. Now they just send it up to the digital lab and it's all kind of done for them.
Well, it's the same in the printing industry. We used
Is
to
it?
have to we had to print one colour at a time and make
Yeah.
up the 4 colour sets.
Yeah.
Well, now it's all just done.
I know.
Is
So
it?
it's all different.
So it's all
Got
changed.
someone like Simon who's gone back to it, hasn't he?
Yes, a really good ex-student who then became my technician and then went to San Francisco and ended up running the Fashion Academy there. And he did it for years. Oh, and he was really close friends with Alexander McQueen. I mean, they shared a flat and he did all their prints,
Right, okay.
tyres,
Yeah.
tyre prints and all that. And now he's given up his job and he's printing on old clothes. So he's just transforming
Yeah.
old clothes
And that
and dipping them and doing stuff to them. And
would that be for? Would he be doing that for specific people? They would ask for it, or he's just
yeah,
doing it
I
himself?
think he's.
It'd be a
up for it.
slow process.
And I think he's doing. There's some studio set up with Angelina Jolie now.
Okay.
It all sounds quite glamorous. He's got a very good print room, hasn't he?
I think her shop's in New York and his print
His
room's
print-
in Sausalito.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's very like bespoke.
but he's really interesting
Yeah.
guy.
What about travel wise? Have you travelled much in your career?
Quite a lot. I go to India every year because I run a workshop there,
Oh, do you?
which is printing with mud. It's like probably the first form of printing. So have you heard of batik?
I
Which you
haven't, no.
use wax. It's a resist.
No.
This is mud, and then you can dip it in indigo or a cold water dye.
And what sort of people go on these with you?
Anyone can go.
So are these people you take from England to?
No, they
you-
come from anywhere.
They come. So you do it. You set it up. You're in India,
Yeah.
and people from all over the world can come.
It's
along.
called, it's called Wonderful Workshops, and there are more. There's not just my workshop. You can do embroidery or miniature painting or sparkle with Andrew
Okay.
Logan.
And is that something you're presently doing, and you've enjoyed doing that for a long
I've
time?
been doing it for 20 years.
So if someone here was watching this and they wanted to do it, how would they contact you?
They just have to look up Wonderful Workshop.
Wonderful Workshop.
Yeah.
And it's all on there.
I
and
think
you're
it's
part
all
of that.
on there.
And when do you go out there?
End of January, February, that sort of time.
And how long's that for?
It's only a week.
Okay. You just go out there for a week.
But no, if you're sensible, you go for a bit longer because it's a long way.
Yeah, it is a long way. Well, how long do you go for?
Well, 3 weeks probably.
Okay. And you do a week's workshop.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's interesting because then it gives people an opportunity to see things that are outside of the norm.
Yeah, I know it's lovely. People love doing it.
And what part? Whereabouts do you
It's in Rajasthan, in Jaipur.
go? Okay. And you've been going there for how long?
20 years. Well,
Wow.
I've been going there for longer, but the workshops have been going on for 20
And
years.
it's still popular?
Yeah, very popular.
Do people come back or
Yeah.
they do? Yeah. That's interesting because it's something you're doing outside of your day-to-day stuff. Do you get young people there or is it all?
Yes, last time there were very young, trendy New Yorkers, and fashion
really?
people from Paris. And, yeah. And then, then a lot of probably older people because they've got the time and they can
Yeah.
afford it. But my Roger Zagolovich, he's started off as an architect, but he comes every year because he likes lino cutting and stuff. And
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and he's always got a sketchbook, tiny sketchbook, and he'll do a watercolour in 2 minutes whilst he's waiting for something to dry.
Oh. Tell us a little bit about your fashion because obviously you've got your cats and I know that Brodie's doing, some garments with your stuff on. Well, what was the thing with cats for you? You just like cats?
I like cats. Yeah.
You love cats. So therefore cat, it's all your designs revolved around cats?
No, not all of them. I like parrots as well.
Okay, so we got a parrot and a cat.
Birds I like, and flowers.
Didn't you get told when you were at art school too you couldn't draw any more cats?
I was told that, yes. At school I was told I couldn't draw any more cats.
And what about now? Are you still drawing?
Yeah, still drawing cats. But I mean, I got sent away from... I lived on a farm in the north of Scotland till I was 7. And then I got sent to boarding school in Surrey with a very strong Scottish accent that no one could understand a word I said, including my father. And I wrote to my grandfather and asked him to send me a cat. Dear Grandpa, please send me a pussycat. And he did.
Right.
To school.
So you had a school in your cat?
School.
You were allowed that?
Yeah, but then the maths teacher looked after it till half term because it didn't like the school porridge.
How did you manage to clear your accent then? Because you don't sound Scottish at all.
I know. Well, I suppose just being...
Just over time?
Yeah.
It wasn't a conscious thing?
No, I didn't do it on purpose.
No.
It just happened. Like my writing had to change as well.
Yeah.
My Scottish writing was quite loopy. Then I was made to do Marion Richards writing, so that round art school writing.
Right, okay. No, that's good. That's interesting. Because did you not... What about your Scottish connections then? You don't go back to Scotland, don't they?
They've all gone now. I did go back. We used to all go.
So you basically lived... when you came to London, you lived in the Chelsea area?
Yeah.
And you've always lived in Chelsea?
My parents lived in Chelsea, but I live in Bermondsey now.
Oh, do you? When did that change then?
Oh, I've been there ages. Since about 1964-ish.
Have you?
Yeah.
A different place in 1964, Bermondsey.
Yeah, it was. Very different.
Very different. It's quite funny how all the areas have changed. Like when I grew up, Bermondsey, Hackney, all those areas were very different to what they are now.
I know.
Very different. But I imagine for the better there. They're all...
Well, but Bermondsey, it hasn't changed much. Bermondsey Street has changed completely because it's just one expensive restaurant after another.
Yeah.
But the rest of it's probably worse than it was before, actually.
You think so? Yeah.
The market used to be fun.
The market was brilliant, but since COVID and them taking all that bad stuff off the buildings, what was it? Not asbestos, but... Cladding, yes, that went on for ages, and so people gradually stopped having a stall there and went to Spitalfields instead. So and all the houses around it used to be market places. In the houses were antique shops.
Actually, in the house.
The houses, yeah, all around the square, but that's all gone now.
So it's changed a lot since you first moved in there.
Yeah, I could walk down Bermondsey Street and never see a single person.
Mm.
Now they're all outside drinking cocktails.
Yeah, it's a different world, isn't it? That's really interesting. So basically you're going to carry on working until they.
I think I'll carry on a bit longer.
Well, you can now, can't you? There's no reason for you to stop and retire. And you're obviously all your experience you're bringing to the students. You obviously got a good relationship with the students still.
Yes, but I mean, I hope somebody might say, I think it's time you left. It might warn me before I just fall off a stool or something.
I'm sure you'll work your way out.
Warn me.
I'm sure you'll work your way out comfortably. But that's interesting. It's interesting to know where the fashion industry is going. It's also interesting for students who are taking on these roles to know what the outcome is and what they can look forward to achieving.
It's definitely hard to get a job,
Yeah.
These days, but I suppose it'll get better. It just goes in.
Yeah, maybe. Well, what was the height? When do you think there was lots of work and lots of change?
Well, in the 80s, you could do anything.
The 80s seems to be like the time. I can't remember the 80s.
You just, you could just do anything, I think, in the 80s. It was a very creative...
What was the big bands of the 80s?
Obviously, Swing Out Sister.
Well,
Bowie.
David Bowie, Rolling Stones.
See, I'd have thought they were more 70s.
The Four Tops.
Ian Dury.
Oh, I loved Ian Dury.
Would it be early 80s then?
I'm not very good at dates.
No, I'm not very good at dates. That's what I'm trying to sort of
The other
work out.
thing that's changed, it'd be red tape, isn't it?
Mm.
Bureaucracy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's got very admin heavy.
Has it?
Mm.
Yeah. Well, I think that's happened everywhere.
And I mean, just recently, somebody I know is teaching at, it was Hornsey, it's Middlesex University now, and they've just announced they're stopping fashion, they're stopping painting, it's the accountants, because fashion's an expensive thing to do. Graphics isn't, because you just need a computer.
Yeah, cool.
So they're just wrecking the whole thing, really.
Yeah, it's going to move all into
They're
just
going
computers.
to kill
And
the art schools, I think.
you think so?
Mm.
Obviously where you are is one of the most popular, I would have thought.
Mm.
Where else are they in the country? Where's the other popular fashion school?
Well, there's Kingston, Ravensbourne, in London.
Outside of London?
Oh, outside London. Well, there's Manchester and sort of Scottish one, Edinburgh probably.
Okay.
I don't know, Glasgow. Glasgow do textiles.
So it's really quite limited, isn't it?
How
How many places are available throughout the country? Especially if you say you've got foreign students coming in.
Yeah.
So places are getting fewer and fewer.
I mean, there are nice little art schools in places like Falmouth and Bath.
Like if you're a top designer and you're looking for young people to come in, do they come to your school and approach people at the end of their...
They quite often do. They quite often set up an interview with a company who see, we maybe give them 15 students to interview and they get a job like that.
And they would go in as a fashion designer or a textiles.
Yeah.
They're all the different areas and then they work
it
together.
Depends how big the company is, because, if they're a small company, you learn more probably because you have to do everything.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's a huge company, you might start quite low down.
Richard's
work
Be more specific.
Richard's quite good.
Richard Quinn, yes, he's done really well.
It's helpful with students as well.
Yeah.
Do you have any part to play in helping people get work?
Well, yeah, quite often.
I mean, if you found an outstanding student, would you have people you think, oh, this person's fantastic, I need to get her in touch with XXX?
Yeah, definitely.
So you do have some influence on that.
I mean, I used to get them jobs when they were in the second, when they were going out. But now they've got a person especially to do that.
Okay.
Or two people, actually. So
that's quite good, isn't it? There was help in there to actually find them work.
So they've got a list of all the people. Because a lot of the companies are run by ex-St Martin students.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean, there was a time in the 80s when the Paris fashion houses were... Like Dior was John Galliano, Givenchy was, I've forgotten who, but they all had St Martin's either at the top or just underneath.
Yeah.
It's quite strange.
Yeah, no, it's good because obviously then they're going back to St Martin's looking for people to work with them.
So they know what St Martin's is like.
Okay.
And we know them and we can say, oh, that person's quite good. And that person's shit.
No, that's good. That's it. No, it's good. It's really been interesting talking to you because it gives me an idea and an insight to what's going on in the industry. And I think it's good for young people to know that if they're going into this career, what's at the end of it for them. Because sometimes there might not be a lot at the end unless they've got that ability to really push themselves and make things work. And knowing what they want to do, whether it's textiles, fashion designs.
Or just being open to stuff.
Yeah, being open to see what comes their way and what they like doing. So,
and keep their eyes open, keep looking at stuff.
Yeah.
Not always on the phone.
Is that a problem? Do you find students always on the phones?
Well, but you mention Matisse and they go, oh, yeah. Rather than going...
What do you think about phones? Do you think they should be allowed to have phones in
Oh, no, I'm not saying they can't have phones. It's just that I don't like the way they research.
Yeah. No, I mean, but in your class, if you're taking a class, do you mind if people are on their phones? Is that very common?
Mm-mm.
No.
No, I don't like it.
You don't like it?
It doesn't really happen. I mean, I remember being in China, actually. I was teaching in China, and we just had a dinner to introduce all the students to me. And I told one guy off. being
Yeah.
on his phone, and he was the bus driver.
Well, he deserved it, even if he is the bus driver. So yeah, no, that's. Well, thanks for coming in. I know that you've got things to do and you need to get away, so I won't keep you any longer.
Okay.
But maybe when we get an opportunity, we can maybe broaden the conversation a little bit more when we've got a bit more time to talk about students.
Well, I'll bring David Capo if you like, because he's very good.
Yeah, and then we can just and then we can maybe put some stuff together that you think might be useful for young people who want to get into the industry.
Yeah, he'd be brilliant.
Okay, well, hopefully we can do that
He's
in the future.
good at talking.
Yeah, you're very good at talking as well. So, but thanks very much. Thanks for coming in. Really
Okay.
appreciate it. Thanks a lot.